and came up, and at that point, and I don't know how long that even lasted. It might have only been 15 or 20 seconds, but it might have been, I know I was running out of air, so it was probably a lot longer. I popped up in the current and immediately went straight into a couple of holes and just got kind of cartwheeled, and I took a real hard hit from a rock in my ribs, and I remember seeing the boat come up, my paddle's right there, and I chucked it to shore and then swam. And I came out and I chased my boat downstream and eventually pulled it out maybe a half or a third of a mile down, and then at that point I was thinking, what the hell just happened? What the hell happened? Because I still didn't really have in mind, although I knew there was a log there, I didn't have any idea about how it could be situated. I went back up, and it took me quite a while to figure out which rapid it was in, because it was just a totally straightforward Class 4 rapid that you would never scout, ever, because it was completely boat scoutable. And then I realized at one point, and I kept looking at this wave, what's weird about that wave? And then I saw at the end, on the other side of the stream, about this much of a log sticking out of the water. It was a log about maybe a foot or so in diameter, totally black, coming completely perpendicularly across the current and creating this wave, and then, having a big space in between it. So the current was just going around it. If I'd been in a smaller volume boat, I would have had the log breaking my femurs or in my lap, and I think I would have done. I would have just been flagging around it. The boat I had was a larger volume boat, and and it rode up above, slammed, and then I went underneath. So equipment makes a difference, but you can't necessarily predict ahead of time. I mean, this is such a strange situation that first, you never would have scouted. Secondly, if you'd scouted, you wouldn't even have seen the log. Because I stood there knowing there was a problem and knowing where I had the problem, and I still could not see what happened for a good 30, 40 seconds of standing there on the bank and trying to figure out. So, it's a difficult thing to incorporate into your knowledge about how you avoid mistakes. If I had not been soling, there had been people with me, they wouldn't have been able to do a thing. The river's fairly wide there. I would have been 5 feet underwater. I mean, I was 5 feet underwater. They would know I was there, but they wouldn't be able to even get anything to me. So safety does not come in numbers. Safety comes from your individual decisions and your judgments about things. And in the worst case scenario, those won't even save you. It's just fortunate, it's a mark of our sport. The water's basically very forgiving. And so I don't want this to be a message of impending doom, because obviously tens of thousands of us every year go out and have a blast doing all kinds of things, and a lot of people do a lot of really hard things, and there are almost no deaths and there are very few injuries. So but shit can happen, and the only way you can really be prepared is by being in the best condition possible, knowing the run as well as possible, having every skill that you can develop, and be doing that and be developing it and improving them all the time. And of course, the critical thing always is your judgment, individual judgments. And there always will be situations where things will be happening that you can't judge, that you can't assess. So, but you can't measure the sport against that very tiny, narrow subset of things. I mean, the sport's beautiful because it is challenging, and the challenge comes from an inherent unpredictability of the water. We can predict and control a certain amount, and as our skills develop, that expands, and so does our joy, so does our passion, so does our fun. And I don't believe in being a doomsayer, because in my experience, those situations are few and far between. But it's the joy and the challenge of the sport come from exactly the same place as the danger does. They come from this unpredictable character of it, and it's the nature of great music. It's the nature of fantastic games, and it's a life passion for people. So my only comment is There's more going on out there than any of us will ever know. So keep your eyes open.